Welcome everyone to a very special episode. As I told you guys last time, the previous episode was more of an introductory or an introduction. Sorry, like I told you guys already, Spanish is my main language, so sometimes I get mixed up with my words. But yeah, the last episode went way better than I thought it would. I am super excited to finally do this episode because it is with one of my favorite content creators, someone that I've gotten to know uh, probably like 2 months ago or so. And he is just absolutely awesome. I know a lot of you know him already, and will be super excited to get to see this episode and pretty much see us watch us geek out about our favorite fandom, which is A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones universe. And we will probably also be talking a little bit of other fandoms just so you guys get to know him as well, and what he likes and whatnot. Because, hey, I would love it if down the road he gets to be here more often and whatnot, and who knows, maybe like a co host kind of thing. So, without any further ado, I would like to welcome you guys to Binging Dragons. Okay, so the awesome content creator that I was mentioning you guys is none other than Marc, aka House of Nettles. What is going
Yay!
on? What is going on, man?
Applause, applause, and thank you for saying a lot of people know me. I don't know if they do. If they do,
Oh
I'm happy for
shoot.
them to see my face. but
Oh my bad, dude. I should have said just Nettles.
no. Definitely say Mark. Definitely say Mark. But yeah,
Awesome.
I know you say a lot. Hopefully, people do know me. If you do, or if you don't, please go over to TikTok,
Of
look up
course.
House of Metals. Go over to. I'm also on YouTube and Instagram. You can look up House of Metals there, but mainly on TikTok. And if you love A Song of Ice and Fire and a couple of anime, maybe some film or television,
There
I
you
got
go.
you. I got you.
There you
Most
go.
dang, most dangerous man talking about Game of Thrones. That's me.
Hey, listen, and he really is. Because again, I don't know. I've told you this already a few times, but I really don't know where you find all these like trending sounds that just leave me like. For example, just to give you an example, you were the one that introduced me to the song "Rich Baby Daddy." And it was because of your video. I can't remember if it was like Kristen Cole or something like that for House of the Dragon. And I was like, what the hell is this song, dude?
You know what? I At first I was nervous to use some of those really crazy sounds, but I was like, this is supposed to be fun. Hopefully other people find these little sketches using the sounds or me just trying to come up with something also fun and funny because it's supposed to be a welcoming place and hopefully that makes people feel welcome when they do want to explore the fandom.
Totally, dude. And it's funny you mentioned that because like I've really been wanting to do more of like trendy kind of videos, with some of those popular songs and whatnot. But I've just haven't gotten around to doing it. Um, so yeah, a few things. Oh, first of all, I never asked you, but how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. You know what? It's been real busy for me. Like most people, you got to go to work. I'm also in school full time for graduate school, and I might have to go down to part time because that whooping my behind trying to do both those things.
I know,
So
yeah.
it was finals last week, so I was typing and going to work, but now I finally got a little break. I get a chance to come on this podcast to start something new. I know it's your second episode, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be in here talking about the things we like.
I know, dude. Like we've literally been trying to do this now for like how long? Like maybe 3 weeks now or so.
Yes.
Um, so I'm crazy excited for this. And I hope that you kicked ass, with those finals and that things get better. And yes, the daily regular 9 to 5 and all of that, it gets to us. So yeah, I'm happy you're doing good overall. Um, but yeah, and definitely happy that you are here tonight.
Yes, yes, this is a good thing.
Um, so yeah, I want to let's see. I'm thinking about just going and asking you before we get into the whole A Song of Ice and Fire stuff.
Mhm.
Just get uh, make use of this opportunity and be like, how Mark or Nettles. Actually, I've got you on my phone like Mark Nettles, just so you know, and I'm sure you're proud of that because you sure are Nettles. Um, how did you get into content creation? Like just a quick kind of thing. If it was like a lot of us, or I didn't start in the pandemic, but a lot of people did too. But
I did not start an epidemic. It started last year, right when House of the Dragon season one came out. I was working a job. I moved to Florida from North Carolina, working a job. The job folded. I didn't have anything to do. My glorious wife was like, "Hey, you really love Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, The Song of Ice and Fire. You always talk about making videos. Try it and see what happens." So if you go on my TikTok and scroll all the way down to that first video, first couple videos, they are rough. They are real
oh,
rough.
they're always rough. They're always.
but I tried it out, and some people liked it, so I just kept doing it, and I expanded talking about anime, then a couple of films or movies that really intrigue me, like From. I love the television show From. If you
Dude.
guys haven't watched it, please give it a chance. But that's what really got me into content creation. And before that, I dabbled in trying to make a podcast, but it was always, you run out of time or you can't keep it up. And
Life happens.
yeah, life
Yeah.
always happens.
Yeah.
So this really gave me an outlet during the time where I really needed it, and I'm happy to still be able to just get on there and have fun and talk about something that I do like.
Dude, most definitely, dude. And yeah, like I said when the episode started, I am a big fan of the way you go about. I tell this to uh, just a few people, um, and usually the people that I just follow back, that I am like not in constant communication, but pretty often communication. I do not only say that I like your content, but I also like the way you go about your content. And that is something very important to me because, as we know, uh, with big fandoms comes big toxicity. We all know that. And we all know that the Game of Thrones, the Song of Ice and Fire community has one of the most awesome people in it. And I would be willing to bet that most of it is awesome. Now, there is another side of it, which again happens with every big fandom, that is can be a little bit problematic and don't always go about other people's opinions the right way. Um, and yes, we can all be passionate about the things that we love. In this case, the Song of Ice and Fire and their characters. But there is definitely like like very special ways to go about uh the discourse. And from the get-go, first time that I saw your videos and whatnot, and I started following you and started seeing more videos, I was like, man, this guy, he's just like, even when people were being freaking a-holes on your, because we've all got these trolls in my mind.
Plenty of them. Plenty of them.
Yeah, and I've seen people be really fucking stupid with you, and with other creators. But I'm using you obviously because we're having the conversation, as an example. And you've just been like so freaking respectful. And even when you've taken jabs, it's kind of like the way that I do as well. You do it in kind of like a sarcastic kind of way and making fun of the person in a sarcastic kind of way, and I love that. Um, so yeah, dude. I just love the way not only your content but the way you go about your content. So I really like. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
you'll keep doing that because I'm sure that's just part of who you are, you know. Um, so yeah.
yeah. And I really appreciate it. 'Cause I always try to. I don't just because somebody's being a real bad person to me. I don't want to be that same bad person back. I might say something smart to them, in a respectful way, because I ain't trying to call nobody out their name, but I'll call you something respectful.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard thing with any fandom. There, most fandoms for the most part, it's all going to be people being cordial with each other. You can have disagreements and all that. That's fine. But then there are people who are toxic, even when they don't think they're being toxic or their opinion is. We all know it is. And the hard thing is, like when you sometimes you go to a comment section, there can be 100 great comments having discourse. That one person saying something negative, you'll look under that comment and it'll have like 50 replies of either people trying to refute him or people agreeing with that whatever that toxic comment was.
Mm,
And and that's always difficult because you want the people who are there who are want to engage in the content in a respectful way. You want their voices to be heard. You want them to have. Sometimes they do have all those comments of people having good dialogue with, not that person who just came there to be nasty. And you look at it 3 hours later and they have all this interaction with it. It's like, I don't. I'm happy people are trying to correct them, but I prefer them not to make statements like that.
totally, dude. Totally. Again, you just I know you'll keep doing it because that's just the way you are.
Mm.
And yeah, just I hope a lot of other content creators that if you're starting off right now, most definitely say if there's something you can take from Mark Nettles or House of Nettles, it's definitely the way he goes about, you know, creating his content and curate. That's how you're saying, right? Like curating your
Yeah,
community and whatnot. Um,
and
but yeah,
I
yeah,
got a quick.
yeah.
I just had a quick funny story about somebody. It was like one of my first followers. Like a month into me making videos, he said something real meanie pants to me, and I was like, "Wow!" And I asked him like, "Hey, if there's anything, if something's wrong, or if you don't like my content because it's something he didn't like, you know, just hey, I'm happy to talk about it. We can try to see if we can fix it." And he was like, "Wow!" He apologized to me for what he said. He's like, "I'm sorry for saying it." Because I just out niced him, and I was like, and he's been following me ever since, and I really appreciated that from him. Didn't say
Dude,
anything like that
that
again.
something very, very similar happened to me as well. And I remember it was this guy who commented on a video of mine early days as well. And when I say early days, I'm almost like you. I started creating content maybe around like a year ago as well. A year, maybe 2 months, I don't know. And he came out being kind of a smartass. And I again, I was kind of sarcastic because he was, in this case, he was saying things that I had mentioned in the video. It's just that they hadn't finished the video and they commented, which I freaking hate. That drives me crazy every time. So uh I was kind of, you know, of a smartass and it was also kind of sarcastic, and the guy ended up saying like, "Hey, dude, I didn't know you had said it afterwards in the video, blah blah blah," and ended up following me. And I don't know if he still follows me, but at the moment he started following me and said he was sorry and all of that. So, you know, sometimes and I understand like things in the comments or like in words sometimes are or are hard to know exactly how the person is saying it, but yeah, I don't know. It's
When, when it's a
comments be
real mean
wilding
comment,
sometime.
comments do be wild, and they know when they be wild in the comments. They
Yep,
can't lie to me and say they don't.
totally, dude. So I think I don't know if there's like, would you like to get into a Song of Ice and Fire now?
Hey, I'm here for dragons. I think everybody listening want to hear dragons. Let's talk about some dragons and dire wolves and giants and all that fun stuff.
I freaking love that. So just to tell you guys, as I mentioned in the introduction video, I have not read the whole book series because I had been holding uh the temptations to read them, even though I've had them all for a very good while now. um but I was waiting for Winds of Winter. I was, Dream of Spring and all of that, as we all are. Um, and that kind of really discouraged me to start the book series. But one day I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it going. I'm just gonna start this. This is too big of a fantasy world. This is too big of a world that George has created with too many characters. Um, that I feel like my passion, my love for this world that's originated with the show, and we can talk about that later. Uh, I felt like whatever. He hasn't finished the books, but what's out right now will be like if he comes out and says, "Hey, we're not getting the last two books," of course, that's gonna be like, "Oh shit, damn it!" Like, especially for people that have been waiting for it, like for now more than a decade,
Yeah.
uh, it would freaking suck. But at the same time, there are so many things that we can take away from these characters, from a lot of these stories, for the magical aspect of it, the just everything that comes with the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. That I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just go ahead and start it, and I did. I've read so far the first book, which I finished like a month and a half ago, I think, or a little bit less, maybe like a month. But I did not want it to make any content. I didn't want to create any content on it. Okay, in the heart, I did. I just didn't want to put it out because I really wanted to do it in a conversation kind of way, and that's why I was really, really, really hoping for the people that I reached out, just like you, which would be awesome. Like I've told you already, but I'll say it here again, just so it's recorded for lifetime. I would love it if you join like as much as you can, really, because I think we would have an awesome time. Um, but yeah, I was waiting to do something like this, a podcast, and put, man, everything that I felt. I've got it all written down here, my notes for book one. Obviously, I don't think I'll be going through all of them on this episode, but you can follow me and Mark, obviously, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and of course here on Binging Dragons, because now all these notes are gonna start coming out. Um,
You been hold them in the pocket. You're ready to open it up and let
Oh,
them see
oh, dude, oh,
it.
dude. And I didn't write them. It's funny, I've got this notebook. I think it's, where's my foot? Or not my foot, my thumb. That one says, things that Jon Snow knows. And I'm sure you know what happens when you open the book. There's nothing.
Jon
uh,
Snow knows everything, almost kind
well, yeah.
of.
So yeah, I've got everything written down here on this very cool that's the wall, by the way, and it has the Night's Watch. Uh,
That
um,
is super cool.
yeah,
Wow.
I need to show you later on. This a friend of mine found it at a thrift store or an antique place, and I've got another one. I don't know where it's at right now, but it's House of the or Fire and Blood. So it has the Targaryen sigil, and I don't know where I put it. But yeah, it's pretty awesome as well. I can show you better later.
Yeah. Now I'm jealous.
I'll tell. Listen, I think I've got it over here. Uh, if they want to sponsor the podcast, I don't know if you can see it. No, it's kind of hard, but it's called. I don't know what it's called. Hard. It's like an official HBO thing. Yeah, it might have been a one-time kind of thing. Insight editions, it's called deluxe journals, sketchbooks, and stationery sets. They have it for a whole bunch of different fandoms, and Game of Thrones being one. Um,
Yeah, because I know after that last season, the end of 2019, there was a lot of stuff that was on clearance. I got a couple thrones, and you can't see it right now, but I got a throne up there, and I got a big throne in my bar, and it was all bargain basement
Really?
deal. So yeah,
Oh man, dude, that must have been freaking awesome.
yeah.
But yeah, now I get to share this, and just like if we were sitting down at my house, and I'm just, hey, Mark, dude, I just fucking read this. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. This like blew my mind. That's what we're about to do. So, uh, let's get things going when it comes to Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. And I would love to start off with a question for you, my friend.
Hopefully
Um,
have the answer for you.
which it's pretty simple. Um, we're still not gonna go deep diving, in this. That's probably be in few more episodes.
Okay.
But the first thing that I would love to ask you or talk about is, when did you get into A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones? You can do for both, or maybe it was like me. I did Game of Thrones and then A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, I want to say I started off with Game of Thrones during the first season, like leading up to, and spoilers if for some reason you haven't seen it, leading up to Ned Stark's death in that first season. I like the episode before. I think I saw some. I was in college. I saw something on a promo for it, and I was like, okay, let me at least try out this show. And I binge watched it. I got to that episode. I didn't know what was going to happen, and then it happened, and I was so confused. I'm like, how do you kill off Ned Stark? He's the title character. Rob was going to come down from the north and save him. What kind of show is this? How does it even continue? I'm not going to watch this at all until season 2 came out, and I was right there every week. So that's a little bit of how I got into watching Game of Thrones.
So that's actually pretty awesome because you were pretty much there from the very beginning,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because I think Game of Thrones came out in 2011, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah, it was 2011. Don't date me, but yeah, it was
I
definitely
don't know.
2011.
Listen. I was in college as well. I listen. I'm not freaking. Or you know what? No, I'm not gonna say my. I'm not gonna tell you people my age just yet. I'm gonna just leave a little bit to, like, if you subscribe, I'll tell you guys my age, and like we'll do some subscribers only kind of thing, and I'll tell you guys my age. No,
I need the first three to my social security number. You subscribe to our imaginary Patreon right now. But
But yeah, it was. I believe it was 2011, and that's actually pretty awesome that you were in there pretty much from the get go. Because in my case, my wife and I started watching Game of Thrones. Dude, I was in college as well, and it was already I want to say season 4. Uh, because I remember hearing, as I'm sure you know, everywhere, Game of Thrones this, Game of Thrones that. You gotta watch Game
mhm.
of Thrones. You gotta. I was like, every time that happens, it always kind of drives me crazy a little bit, and I hate on it a little bit. It's just like, it's something very weird that happens with like very extremely popular shows that I have not gotten into. Just like Breaking Bad, and I ended up watching Breaking Bad like 2 years ago for the first time, and I loved it. I really really liked it. We can talk about that some other day. But the same thing happened with Game of Thrones for like the first 3 seasons, and I kept seeing the memes of brace yourself, winter is coming, and with Ned Stark and all of that. And yeah, one day I was like, you know what? Let's give it a go. And me and my wife, actually, I think it's funny. It was Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones that we started watching.
Okay,
And
so
we were going to decide which show we were going to go with.
mhm.
We watched the first two, I think, from Breaking Bad, which are slow as F. Like, they're very
Yeah,
freaking slow. From the third episode down, it definitely gets very, very good. Um, And then we were like, okay, now it's Game of Thrones time. We watched the first episode, and as soon as Jamie Lannister fucking pushes Bran off the tower, because that's in the first episode,
That's how they end it. That's how
dude.
they.
Uh-huh. I was literally like, what the did he just do, dude?
You're like, what's happening? This doesn't make any sense. What are they? This isn't a
Yes.
fantasy show.
Yes, totally, dude. And then I'm also seeing, the little the little game that is going on, the little tug and
Mm.
pull between Jamie and Cersei. I was like, weren't they weren't they brothers and sisters? Aren't they siblings? What's happening here?
Yeah, they were
Um,
tugging and pulling. They were tugging and pulling.
and yeah, I just need a one episode, and to me the epilogue or the epilogue, no, yeah, I think that's how you say it, right? Like the very beginning, like the how the episode starts,
Prologue.
the prologue.
Prologue.
Thank you. Um, I thought it was really well made, and especially having that kind of like at the time it was like, oh, what are these ice zombies? And I remember we
Mm-hmm.
were huge Walking Dead fans at the time, and even still, we just got you know, kind of
Yeah.
drifted off a little bit, but uh, we definitely was like, man, this looks pretty damn cool. So we from the first episode we were in, and it's been history from there on. uh,
Now, I will admit, I fell off in season 5, but then my best friend, he said he watched season 6, and he was talking about you got to watch it. There's something called the Battle of the Bastards, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like it got a little boring season 5. I'm like, I guess I'll watch it. And I got to season 6. I was back in Battle of the Bastards happened. It changed my whole life for like 2 weeks,
yep, yep,
and now I'm here. Now I'm here.
that totally, dude. I remember it's funny because that year we were like I said we were still in college, um, and we got so hooked that we just we had 4 seasons to binge, um, dude. I remember we went to it was like 12, it was like midnight, and was like, man, we have class at good old days of 7:30 a.m. or actually 7 a.m. and was like, oh, just one more episode, and we kept going until it was literally like 3:30 a.m. to go to to college at 7 a.m. and next day was just dreading. It was horrible waking up, but I knew I had Game of Thrones to go back and binge, so that kind of gave me a jolt. But yeah, the good days whenever we could. Now I can't go past midnight. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be playing the Last of Us, and I'm gonna play all night like I used to, and then all of a sudden, uh, 9:30 hits. I was like, ugh, I think I need to go.
I'm not in bed by 10:30. I'm like, all right, I got to think about how I'm gonna wake up in the morning. So I got to have a game plan.
Yeah, you'd be counting like, okay, if I go to sleep now, I can have 6 hours of sleep.
Yes, yes. And I work from
Oh,
home most of the time. I'm still trying to
oh,
count it.
you that dude, that I would love to have a work from home. Um, I don't know if I want to go yet. With wait, so did you say exact like that was that for Game of Thrones? Was there any specific time for the books itself?
I got a whole story for the books. I got you.
How
Uh,
did you get? Yeah.
I want to say it was after season 7 where it was that they took the year off. 'Cause I think season 7 came out 2017. Then 2018 happened, and they said, "Hey, the next season's not coming out till 2019." So I started reading probably around like 2018 October-ish, and I was like, "All right, I got to speed through these books so I can be ready for the season finale." And I'm reading all the books. I'm watching all the theory videos on YouTube. Some people who are really good, some people who are really crazy, but I'm just consuming it all. and I'm coming up with all these cool theories, and I'm super ready now because I read all the books. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna be ready for whatever happens, and I know something's gonna happen that I thought of or another creator thought of, and then season 8 happened, and none of it happened. We were all wrong, completely wrong. They outdid did us all.
Yes, totally. And yeah, I mean, we could probably go on. Which I really hope down the road we'll get more into the things that made Game of Thrones great and the things that they could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, because you know
And
what?
go go
I
go.
was going to say, at the end of the day, Game of Thrones is still some of the best television to ever come out, and
Yep.
I would never want to take that away, no matter what we think of the two showrunners for how they maybe ended it those last 3 seasons. It was still some of the best television we, as a whole collective, have seen.
Yeah, totally, dude. I absolutely agree. It's like I tell a lot of people. Um, Game of Thrones will Man, it's really hard because it'll always be my favorite show
Yeah.
because for many reasons, and some of them reasons that nobody will be able to change my mind on it. Because, like, for example, just to give you an example, um, the fact that my dad watched Game of Thrones, a fantasy show, and he doesn't give a damn about fantasy, like nothing, nothing. And it's funny that I just thought about this, but I remember there was like this very famous comment about uh, D&D talking about the them shooting towards what was it? Football players and moms or some shit like that.
In soccer, yeah.
Freaking stupid ass comment. That is okay. They had the right idea of it. It's just that they said it in the most stupid ass way. Like, why couldn't you just say, um, we want to target people that aren't fantasy fans, that have never been into fantasy, the fantasy genre. We want to shoot towards them. That's why we're going to make these changes. Not come out and say, "Oh, this is going to be targeted for to be as easy as it will be for people that are football players and soccer moms." Some shit like that. That is fucking stupid. But if they would have said like, "Hey, we're targeting people that uh, aren't fantasy fans," like my dad, dude, he was watching. I got him to watch around like season 6, I think it was around that. So he started binging it, um, and he to this day now he watches House of the Dragon, and he's been asking me when is House of the Dragon season 2 coming out. Like this guy, when House of the Dragon came out, he was watching he would watch it in English first on Sunday, and then on Monday he was watching it in Spanish just to make sure he got like the things. And then he was calling me, "So who's this now? And what's that?" Asking me things that I knew, about the books and Fire and Blood and whatnot. And that to me was very very special, as well as like I had another cousin who was never really into fantasy, and he binged the whole thing before season 8. um and we had one of the most like awesome family moments because every episode that he watched, he would text me, he would call me, be like, "Oh man, why did this happen?" And we would talk for hours. And those are things that will never, like no matter what, those are things that make Game of Thrones great for me, you know. So everyone has their own thing, and I understand there were some things that season 8 is really, like there could have been much better, but we can talk about that some other day. But yeah, Game of Thrones is
And I
it's
just want
incredible.
to I want to shout out that experience you had with your dad, because that's funny because that mirrors the experience I had with my mom, because she doesn't watch any fantasy, and if D&D would have said it in a way, instead of trying to sound pretentious, but we're trying to make fantasy digestible for a wide variety of people. And that's what they did. And it got my mom, who watched it, binged it after season 7, and she would call me after each episode. In season 8, we're having an hour-long conversation. And even House of the Dragon, she was calling me, we're talking about it. She would wait, and then I would record my review of the episode. And sometimes it'd be midnight. I call her, like, "You want to talk about it some more?" And she'd be like, "All right, just 10 more minutes, just 10 more minutes." So
That's, dude, those are things that yes, we will have as people that are so into this universe, so into this story, we will critique and we will be like, oh, you could have done a better job in this and that. Um, which at the end of the day, they're just opinions, dude. Like, I'm not a
yeah,
fucking professional and storytelling and marketing and all of that, because we got to take all of that into account, you know. Uh, but things like that, experiences like that,
mm-hmm.
it's just, we could have wanted whoever in on the Iron Throne, but those experiences won't ever like fade away. They'll go with us forever. So
Oh yeah.
that
And you
is
should have
that is
heard.
really awesome.
And it's probably the same thing with your dad. You should have heard my mom's disappointment when she found out Hot D was only going to have 8 episodes in the season. She was like, where are the other two?"
Oh. Well, okay, so I'll let you know. Well, he hasn't. I don't know if he's found out yet. Actually, I don't think.
Mm,
I'm thinking now that I haven't told him, because when it comes to news and all of that, he's not like on top of it.
yeah.
Um, Although he started following me on Instagram, so he should be. Damn it, Dad! What the what the fuck is wrong with you, man?
He better be liking every video that he sees.
But no, yeah. What I was gonna say, he doesn't know. I don't think he knows that it's like they are doing 8 episodes for it. But I'll probably break the news for him
Yeah.
right before
Let him be
the
surprised.
season starts. But yeah, um, is there anything you want to? Because I've got quite a few things that just are like some of my favorite things from book one, A Game of Thrones. Uh, but I don't know, love to. Has it been a while since you've reread the? You were reading it now, or was it Fire and Blood rereading?
I, you know what? I tried to do a reread on social media and for the book one, and I stopped. I probably stopped that though during the summer. So my rereading for that has been a little sparse. Like I might, if I feel the real interest, sometimes I just like to go find a monologue and look it up and read it or read that chapter. Like I was reading Renly's Peach the other day, which is one of my favorite speeches in a Clash of Kings. So you'll get to read it in a little
It's my
bit.
next book. Yeah.
So like right now I haven't done a deep. Just been too busy to read it again. I've been reading something a little lighter, but still good. I just started Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a television show, but I saw the first movie, so I said I'm gonna try my best to finish the book before I watch the television show, which I heard was really good. So that's a
Yeah.
plus for me.
Um, I don't know what's wrong with my camera now here. It's moving. But yeah, the Percy Jackson uh TV show was actually I liked it. I enjoyed
Mhm.
it. I can see where they're going. They're going with how do they're going for the Harry Potter uh how do you say approach. They're taking the Harry Potter approach. And when I say
Mm,
that is that they are making us love these kids, love them as kids, even though it's going to be a little bit hard for some people to keep up, because at the moment things are more like, PG, to put it that way.
yeah.
Even though there's a few parts in the show that are like, yeah, they didn't show blood, but they just did, they took him out pretty bad. Um, yeah, but they're making us, fall in love with these kids. And then whenever the things, whatever down the road gets more dark and whatnot. I've never read the books, but I just suppose really I've heard some people talk about it, um, and I just think that it will turn a little bit darker. Uh,
Yeah,
and I think by that time it'll be just like Harry Potter. When Prisoner of Azkaban came around, it was like this huge tone shift of more dark. I don't know if you were like a Harry Potter fan or whatnot, but
I was one of.
okay, cool. I mean, we love the Harry Potter movies and whatnot. We bought the sets like years ago, so we watched them. I think yearly. Um, but uh, yeah, when Prisoner of Azkaban came around, it was like so much darker, and
Yeah,
you started to fear more for these kids that you saw like 7 or 8 years old, and out here all of a sudden they're like what, maybe like 13 or something like that. So it's noticeably older, uh, and you start to fear more for them. So I think that's what Percy Jackson will ultimately kind of shoot for. So yeah, whenever you get around that's I think you'll have a good time with that for sure.
yeah. I'm 100 pages in. I'm enjoying it so far. Just trying to find the time so I can just really finish it out. But yeah, yeah, it's a good read.
Awesome. So I'm gonna tell you a few of the things that were like my most uh some of my favorite things. There's too many, but some of the things that really stand out when it comes to the first book are these. The epilogue. Or did I say it wrong again? Damn it. Prologue.
Prologue,
The
yes,
prologue. Damn it. Um, the prologue. Uh, with Waymar Royce and them, finding the White Walkers for the first time, and that whole thing was just incredible to read. I could just imagine it all the way, and yes, it's definitely different from what we got in the TV show. Um, and the TV show, I feel like they got pretty close, but I would have loved it if they would have dropped in there the that awesome quote from when Waymar Royce tells the White Walker, "Well, dance with me." I think it's what he says,
yes.
and they're about to like fight, and then the White Walker obviously just f's him up.
Yeah, that the prologue is so good. Like watching it on Game of Thrones for the first time, I'm like, oh, this is an awesome way to open the show. But just getting that perspective from inside the head, I think I want to say it was Will in the book, seeing it from his point of view, seeing the dread, understanding how underqualified Waymar Royce was, and that's something I didn't even catch my first time read through, but when I just really went back and read it and really paid attention, you it was so much more going on than I can even imagine. I'm like my little brain the first time I read it, I was just happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Totally.
it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely a lot of themes and stuff in there that you get just from being inside his head that I love. I love to read.
Absolutely, dude. And not only that, but we also get a few like a little glimpse is what you say, I think. I've told you guys already, Duolingo, you better friggin' sponsor this, man. I'm gonna teach y'all Spanish as well. Hey, Mark, how are you with the Spanish, by the way?
I am what you call not good. In a previous job, I was able to get by and speak a little Spanish, but since I haven't been working there, it's
Yeah.
mostly gone away. And I was just like, oh, you know what? That's fun. Real quick, I got a quick question.
Yeah,
Do
dude,
you
go
read
ahead.
do you read the books in Spanish or in English?
English.
In English? Okay, okay.
And but because like obviously I don't read as fast. I'm not a fast reader. I've been slowly trying to get more into books and whatever besides A Song of Ice and Fire. Um but yeah, I don't read fast, but I read in English as well. So hopefully that'll help me, get better, which I suppose it will. Uh but
Yeah, they
yeah,
got they got plenty of 4 syllable words in that book. 5, 6, 7, all the
Oh,
long words in there.
yeah, dude, totally. It's so. And there was this singer called Celia Cruz. I think it was Celia Cruz. You probably heard of her. I don't know, because you're from
I probably got to
Florida.
hear a tune, but
Um,
I'm here.
so she was a Cuban salsa singer and whatnot. Anyway, super extremely popular.
Yeah.
Um, but she would say my English is not very is well. She would say it like more with the my English is not very good looking. If, I'm very sure that was Celia Cruz. Now I'm doubting myself. Fuck.
Oh,
But
so somebody go listen to this part and be like, he is
that
wrong.
ain't not it. Okay, then frick, drop it in the comments, damn it. But like the video, please, and subscribe. Um, so something very, very cool that I wrote down. Um, it's the fact that in the prologue, we also get a little bit of like descriptions of how they communicate the White Walkers and the whites and all of that. And to me, that is very, very interesting because I feel like they did kind of a good job in the show. Um, and when I compare it to the show, I'm not, again, Game of Thrones is my favorite show. Um, so I'm not doing it in a, dissing the show or anything. At least not for this. But yeah, it's very interesting because they said that the voice was described as crackling of ice on a winter lake. And to me, that was like, that must be fucking terrifying, dude. Just freaking imagine going through the woods, finding out that there's these probably some wildlings all around, and all of a sudden you hear this, and then Waymar Royce goes out and says, "Dance with me, mother effer," dude.
That doesn't sound like the smartest thing to do from his perspective.
True, true.
like, like like nobody's heard this language below the wall in thousands and thousands of years, and you want to go up there and say dance with me. The dude had a ice sword. I don't know why he thought his little castle forest steel was going to do anything.
I know, I
Oh,
know. Listen, was it stupid? Maybe, yes. Was it badass? Is he a bad mofo for doing that? I think he is. I think he is. Now, can he be a bad mofo also stupid? I think he's both. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. We've seen
Oh,
Jared got up out there. Jared saw that and he said, "This isn't for me anymore. Good luck to y'all."
he did, dude. He was like, I'm out. Didn't he like hang up, like he was hanging up on a tree? Uh, if I'm not mistaken.
Will
Oh,
was.
Will was.
Yeah,
Okay. Because ultimately, Will is the one that gets caught.
yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. But yeah, that is something that I absolutely loved when reading A Game of Thrones. I thought it was really, really well made and or written. Of course, it's freaking George. uh, what else? There was also another thing that really has surprised or like has kind of blown my mind is, and I think I mentioned it to you on messages or something, but the fact that there are wolf dreams as well.
Mm-hmm.
We don't ever really get something like that, do we? Because it's the way they present it on the show. It's more like straight up warging. Um, so to me, it was very, very interesting and plain out just freaking awesome. The fact that the Starks have at least most of them, if not all of them, at least in the show, I think. Or I mean, not in the show, in the books. I know John has them. Um, Bran had them, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Uh,
they.
Arya, I think she had one too.
Yes, yes, and they're gonna once you get those further books, they definitely going to expound upon that about how
Really?
yeah her dreams and warging and all that stuff. And I guess the only one that doesn't really get to experience that is Sansa, but we know that's because Lady bit the bullet real early on, so she never got a chance to really develop that bond
I
too.
mean,
But she,
go go go.
I'm about to say, but I guess you could always say that sense of sadness she felt was because her direwolf, especially right after it happened, died. Like that was her pet. You can say it was a pet, but that was really her partner. And I mean, they were basically, essentially, they all are soul bonded with their direwolf. So something happens to them, like they know.
Like who knows? Like all of the like the little things that we probably or George will never explain that Sansa probably would feel because of that death of and I'm just speaking on the fact that I've only read the first book. So who knows if like down the road there she like explains a little bit of how she's actually feeling, and she kind of does towards the end of the first book. I think she's kind of starts talking about her not pretty much dreaming at all. Like I think she kind of stops having dreams. Um, Although I don't know if that also could be because of like the huge trauma of like her father just got friggin', you know, uh, executed in front of her, which was oh, so damn horrible. Um, so yeah, it is very interesting. Also, the fact that in the books, how George kind of goes into detail of uh, Ned sacrificing or not sacrificing, having to put down uh, lady, and how the other wolves, if I'm not mistaken, the other wolves start like Grey Wind and whatnot. They start howling as well, like Shaggy Dog, Grey Wind. At the time, I don't know if Summer had its name or not, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she had her name, but yeah, they knew their their sister wasn't with them anymore. And maybe that helped subconsciously make Sansa make it an easier decision to give up her dad. And I know I don't blame Sansa for telling Cersei that, hey, we're trying to run away right now, but maybe it's like I don't want to go back. You kind of killed my direwolf, and I think there may have been a different way because she was still naive at the end of the day. She still thought chivalry would beat out and triumph, and everybody was good. So maybe it made it easier for her to say, I don't want to leave. This is my new home. I don't want to go back to the place where, especially if Lady's not going to be there.
True. Yeah. Um, it's so interesting because in the show, it took me it took me quite a bit. It took me quite a bit to get to like Sansa more. And I don't think I liked her like towards the very end. I definitely liked her way more than, obviously she had gone through so much. Um, but having that uh POV, that perspective, uh, that point of view uh, from Sansa, it's really, really like, I already feel like I like Sansa, even when in the show it was totally different. Uh, I'm already having a sweet spot, or how do you say, not a sweet spot, a soft spot for for Sansa. I don't think she's my favorite character right now, but I most definitely like her more at this point, at least.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit to having point of view when you're reading the books. Like you're getting it from their perspective. Like watching on a television show is still good, but you're like, I don't understand why would you think to do that? But then you get in their heads. You're like, yes, you understand that this 12-year-old girl is scared. This little girl that never had any life experience thinks she's making the right decision, and it makes sense, and it makes you just be able to sympathize with her. Like you're wrong in what you're doing, but I now know the steps of how you were able to rationalize that.
Totally, totally. And you can actually say the same thing about um as awesome as like as big of a fan of Daenerys as I was during the show. You can say the same thing when it comes to her in the books. And really all of them, of course. Like John already, I'm noticing all these like questions that he has, these complexities in his mind. that I know I will be liking his chapters quite a bit as I move forward, um, as well as Bran. I know that Bran starting off is kind of like it's kind of a roller coaster with him. I do have a very like I can't remember exactly which chapter it is. It might even be Bran's last chapter in the first book that I think I even put reread. Like I need to read this again because at the moment I thought it was like really fucking good. Um, can't remember exactly what happens, but all these point of views, all these POVs are just incredible. And as I was saying about Daenerys, I think that uh noticing already the fact that she is not just this little girl who is like, okay, do with me, like, okay, you're gonna have to sell me, blah blah blah, which they did in the show. But obviously, when you think about it, in the book, she was, if you really imagine it, she was looking exactly the same way, I believe, than she did in the show. But it's the point of view side of things to where she's already noticing that shit, what's his name, uh the
Who's
guy
talking
that's the guy that's helping them, um
Illyrio.
Illyrio. She's already noticing that Illyrio is like, you are a freaking Otto Hightower from the future, and you are damn sneaky, mofo, and there's some up with you. I won't be saying it because obviously she kept it to herself. Because there's a point where Illyrio uh, and Viserys are having a discussion. I can't remember exactly what, but the thing is that at the end, sh- uh, Viserys turns around and leaves, and she notices how Illyrio has a somewhat of a smirk on his face. So she's already she. They even say something that to the likes of at that point she knew that they were fighting the battle of the Trident all over again. I think it's how it goes. Um,
Yeah,
and I think it tells you that even though yes she looked all innocent and they all thought that, well, they were taking advantage of her, of course. There's no question about it. But she was learning from all those little things, even though it was a one step at a time kind of thing. She wasn't
yeah,
jumping the ropes, um, but she was learning and fast.
yeah,
So I really like that as well.
yeah. We definitely get to see her have the wheels turning, and that's what's cool about her character, especially that the her arc throughout that first book. We get to see her gain her voice. Because, like you said, she's just listening to that conversation that her brother Viserys and Illyrio they're having. I think they're in a carriage on the way to the party.
I
I
believe
want to
so.
say,
Something like that, yeah.
and just all the information she's taking in about their conversation, but she's not a part of it. She's just an object. She's just a tool for them to use to get their. We know what Viserys wants. At that point, we really don't know what Illyrio truly wants. We know what he tells us, and we know Daenerys is smart enough to understand like that's not everything. Even though her brother's wishy washy still, uh, and just to see her gain her voice from that point to start talking more to by the end we got a mother of dragons.
No, totally. Now that you mentioned that, and I know we're literally just going through like jumping from like literally first few chapters to like the very end, but that it comes with the type of episode that it is today, uh because it's like first like introduction for you, of course, and it's literally the first episode, wanting to get people to know us a little bit, and especially you joining. So we'll probably be able to talk more, deep dive into this a little bit more. But something that freaking absolute this one really freaking absolutely blew my mind. The
I'm ready,
fact,
I'm ready, I'm ready to
the,
learn. What
dude.
blew your mind?
Okay, the fact that when Daenerys or the eggs came out or broke or hatched, the dragons hatched in the show, they just climb up, and I know it could have looked kind of weird, but at the same time, in the books, they freaking suckle their. That's how you say it, right? They suckle
Yeah,
their boob or their tit or whatever, and literally drinking milk off of it. I
yeah.
was
I mean,
I was like, what? They actually did that because that opens up so much more her title as Mother of Dragons. That is literally something that had never happened. At least not from because I read Fire and Blood. I know I've like there's things that I won't forget because there's too much history, but I definitely don't freaking remember nowhere saying this person gave fed actually fed the dragon with their breast milk, and that was just like it blew my mind. I never really thought, and I know it's kind of like it can be maybe it's a small detail for other people, but for me it was like, dude, that expands so much more when it comes to her Mother of Dragons title because that is literally like what else can you do to like proclaim that title, dude?
yeah,
Like
that just
breastfeeding.
shows how deep their familial relationship was. Like she saw these as her children. She assumed, thanks to that Mazdur lady, the witch lady, that I will never have kids. These are the children I birthed through some crazy magic that I can probably only do one time because these are the only three dragon eggs that I know of. So I don't even know if I can do this again. These are my babies, and I think that at that point just emphasizes how close she was with them in the beginning, and how hopefully that dragon bond continues on as we get more dragons in the future.
Totally. Uh, it's interesting to see, like, man, and these are things that probably will come with the Winds of Winter and or the Dreams of a Dream of Spring, or who
One day.
knows if who knows if maybe with none of those and it actually comes out in like some type of the Rise of the Dragon Part Two, or I should go Rise of the Dragon Part Two, or a World of Ice and Fire, or Fire or Blood and Fire, the second book for Fire and Blood, to where they explain more what actually happens with the dragons moving forward. Like if there are more dragons, uh, like how is it that it's gonna come about to bonding? Because this bond that Daenerys has with their dragons, it's way more than any bond we've seen in the other like in the past. So
Yeah.
it would be very interesting to see because it almost feels like you almost you have to go to Daenerys and be like, hey, I want to ask out your go ask out the dragon, obviously not Drogon because Drogon is her absolute baby, um but or who knows, I've even heard that Rhaegal, I think she has like a very, is it with Rhaegal or Viserion that she has like a very like kind of like her little baby. She babies him a lot. I feel like
I'm
I
gonna have to.
had read something about that. I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I can't remember which one she babies more, and I know they each have their own little personalities, so that might
Mm-hmm.
play. Well, maybe one's a little more clingy with her.
Right. So I'm very interested in seeing that. Uh, be like, hey, Mother of Dragons, can I? Do you think I can just take Rhaegal for a spin? Can he be mine? It's like asking them out on a date,
Yeah, for real,
kind of
for real.
thing. Because it's really like they are after reading that and seeing, knowing now that she actually breastfed them. It's really wild to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be fun to explore on your journey, especially keep reading the books, her chapters, and seeing how you feel about her bond with the dragons. I know in the next book she definitely has less chapters in like the next two books, but
Yeah.
still a lot of stuff happens.
Oh,
They
I
they, they have
bet.
to.
The
especially that
way
third one.
man, the way the first one ended was really damn good with the whole King in the North. Or actually, it's that Bran chapter. I think it's Bran, Catelyn, and then Daenerys, and all three of those, because I think that Bran chapter is the one where Recon is down in the crypts, and he's telling uh fuck the Maester that
Mm.
uh he had a dream about their dad, blah blah blah, and then Bran had the same dream. The wolves are going crazy as well, and the Maester's like, that didn't fucking happen, and then all of a sudden they find out that it did actually happen,
Mm-hmm.
as in Ned Stark's death, and yeah, that one was great. Then Catelyn's with the whole her way of managing and just teaching Rob the ways, the arts of war without her actually just based off of the knowledge that she has learned from Ned throughout the years, and probably at other places when she was growing up, and probably a lot of those tactics and whatnot and what she was explaining to him were actually things that Ned would have taught him. Um, so I love that. That was another thing, and I absolutely love the fact, which I know already. It's kind of, I suppose it's kind of like a, how do you call that? A foreshadow towards Catelyn. I know already who she turns in, Lady Stoneheart. I know that. Um, the fact that Catelyn is way less of a skeptic than Ned Stark because yes, to me Ned Stark is freaking skeptic as hell. Because a lot of times, whenever anyone brings up something about, but the North and the things that are beyond the North, or whatever it has to do with the magical aspects of things, he always dismisses it. And Catelyn is always kind of like, like no, like for example, whenever the dire wolf died at the antlers from the stag, the stag's antlers,
Yeah.
um, she took that like in no time. She knew already that was a sign of things to come, and she knew that they had to be careful. But what did Ned do? Eh, nah, be very
Hey,
dismissive.
he was dismissive, but he didn't want to go south.
Oh,
He,
he
he
didn't.
tried
Oh
to
yeah.
he tried to refuse.
Oh no, he loves the North. Like there's no question about it. And I love
Yeah.
okay, to me it's very hard to decide which characters are my favorite. I feel like I almost have that George mentality in where well, he said that he loves Tyrion and whatnot, but he always says that ultimately they're all like his babies, and like
Yeah.
he loves them almost equally, and he spends a lot of time like making sure that they all have a good story, worthy story, or that it makes sense for the bigger story. Obviously, not the Ramses of the world and the Joffreys, damn it. Um, but I don't know. What do you think? I know I've thrown a lot of things at you, um, and yes, this first book was incredible. I could probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think and just for the first book, I think it was, especially that opening chapter, opening prologue chapter. It's a great introduction to the world. Is all the political movements going on, exploring the characters, learning who they are to set up things in the future, and just telling a complete story. I feel like the first book does that so well, and how it moves time along. Because people might not know this, but George R. R. Martin gets a little long-winded sometimes, especially to the point that those last two main series books are literally like really one big book that he had to split up because his writing style. I want to say it just slightly changes and uh, not advancing time as fast as we probably need, but for that first book for what it needed to do. It did a great job. It did a great job.
Yeah, it's definitely I can understand now uh, the passion of a lot of the content creators, A Song of Ice and Fire creators, when it comes to their criticisms and their critiques when it comes to Game of Thrones, the show, and just the shows in general. I am able to just be like, hey, give me do what you got to do, keep the essence of the story almost, as intact as you can. But if you got to change some stuff and whatnot, just just go ahead and do it. I know that at this point, now reading the first book, I know that there's no question about it. To me, the books are, and I don't even need to read everything else. The books are way better than the
Yeah.
shows. There's no question about that. Now, that doesn't mean that I will like I'll take the shows for what they are, understanding that there sadly will be cuts to like things in the stories. There will be cuts to like just storylines in general. Although with a lot of the other announced projects that George wants to do and that HBO is supposedly also down to do, it makes me hopeful that we will get more of these storylines that probably in the past we wouldn't have had if Game of Thrones wouldn't have been, even with season 8, as successful as it was and made all the money that it made. So, yeah.
And I think one of the great things about the show and the book, like if you like me and like you, if you watched the television show first and then jumped in the books, there's enough of a difference that you can still enjoy and still be surprised on some of the smaller details. Of course, we know Ned Stark loses his head. We know John learns all those lessons. Daenerys loses her husband and her unborn child. We know all that stuff, but the small details in the books that they cut out or that are slightly changed really changes the story for you when you just get a chance to read it. And even if you watch all the television shows, when you go back to it, it's so many more differences in the book, and you definitely. I feel like it also makes it easier for you to read it. Like you have your entry point into the world isn't as high. It's like, okay, I know what a house is. I know how the government works. I know what knights and ladies and all that good stuff are. So I don't have to learn everything when I'm reading that prologue and what happened to Will and Garrett and up in that tree. I, I you can walk in there a little bit. Doors
Yep.
already open.
Totally. Totally. Um, so we're pretty much downhill now. We've
Yeah.
been going, you know, pretty good. I've had a
Yeah.
great time, by the way. I knew, that we were gonna have an awesome one, and we would just geek out about this. And there's just too much to talk about. We could probably do a 24-hour live stream, and we will not finish talking about A Song of Ice and Fire.
They're
And
all,
The Game of Thrones universe. So
yeah, there'll always be something else to talk about, something small. But I'm happy I was able to be here and talk. And hopefully, if we do it again, we can either talk more about the first book and talk about any topics that cross our minds.
totally, man. Um,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. Are you watching just before we go? Anything else that you are a big fan of? Just so people know what to expect and just maybe know that you are not just a Song of Ice and Fire. Because I know you have another page, and you watch other movies as well, and shows and whatnot, and you do make videos on those. Maybe not as much as a Song of Ice and Fire, but you still post them. I'd say weekly. So, any other things you guys have been watching? I don't know. We just recently watched Blue Eye Samurai. That was incredible. So, I don't know if you watch stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of anime, so I'll on my page, especially on TikTok, I might throw in a couple either an anime review or after I watch the first one or two episodes or something, say like, hey, this is definitely something I want to continue watching. Maybe you guys should try it out. We've been watching a lot of domestic thrillers from like the 80s and 90s. which are really good. You know, we got to bring back the low budget films, people,
Yeah,
because
dude.
they
Yeah,
are hitting. I like to every once in a while do a review on those. And if anybody's a fan of the television From, I got a whole playlist
I
on
can't
over on
wait,
TikTok.
dude. I need to
Yeah,
start watching it. I've heard great things about it.
please do. That first season, everything. I ain't go. The second season, it starts slow. Like it's a 10 episodes, and those first five really could have probably been 2 episodes, but it's still good. They're telling a really great story over there. So go over to my TikTok if you guys really enjoyed that show or anything I talked about today. I might have something in the playlist that interests you.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be dropping your Instagram, your TikTok name, and all of that, which is pretty much it's House of Nettles all throughout, right? So you guys
Yeah,
can't miss it. You guys have it down there as well. I've got it. You can't see it, Mark, but it's down there. You'll see it later when the episode comes out. But
West.
exactly right there.
Okay.
It says Mark House of Nettles. So yes, I also will be tagging it on the how do you call that description of this video. Uh,
Yeah.
we had quite a few things that we didn't talk about, but we'll leave that for the next episode, which I hope comes out sooner than we expect. Really, I hope also to be having other awesome content creators, Song of Ice and Fire creators, and Game of Thrones, and we'll be getting some Marvel down the road as well, and other great things. Deadpool 3 is coming out soon, so that's yeah, that's good. Uh, Thank you, Mark. I man, I really really appreciate you, man. This has been what almost a month in the works, really. I think with
Yeah, and
life
I'm happy to
happening,
be here.
really, just things from my on my side, things on your side, and all of that. But I really hope that the good vibes from this video, like work magic and just make sure that everything down the road smooths it out and makes it to where we can work things out weekly and get together because I've got a feeling that a lot of people will be loving this. I don't know, man. I've got a good feeling about it, really.
And,
We got some
and
people on TikTok live over there, and there was even one saying that uh, let me see. Someone said, I'll be trying to fall asleep to y'all chatting. Take that as a compliment." So I don't know, dude. I think very, very cool, awesome things will be coming from this. I'm excited
that's
for
what we
it.
got.
And really, dude, thank you. It means a whole lot. And I'm looking forward to having you around.
Thank you again, and I can't wait. I can't wait to be back. Apparently, we're getting all these great compliments, and thank you all for watching us. And hopefully, everybody can watch the podcast episode when it gets a chance to drop.
Yeah, I will be trying uh, to work. I'll probably be working on the episode. Actually, I might even try working on it a little bit as soon as we get off. And then, if not tomorrow, which means I will be looking towards maybe a Wednesday, anywhere from Wednesday to Friday drop. Um, Obviously, I want to try and make it more towards like a schedule kind of thing. Even like it don't matter when we record, but just be like, okay, episodes will drop X days of the week. So yes, hopefully very soon the episode, most definitely this week. So by the time you guys
Okay.
see this, it'll obviously drop. So thank you, man. Thank you also everyone that has watched this video, everyone on TikTok live right now. Down the road, we're doing YouTube live episodes as well. I appreciate you guys. And remember, Valar Morgulis, my people. I'll see you guys in the next one. This was Binging Dragons. What's up, man?
We did it.